Welcome to Kara Live. Every day in politics is an adventure. There's so much happening in the media cycle, it's hard to keep up. Elections are over, well, except for Florida and Georgia. We have a new Congress beginning in January, and one thing that we have to do as a collective is to keep our lawmakers accountable. We voted them in, so we are their bosses. We should assure that our lawmakers are adhering to the rule of law, and lots of times we as individuals don't realize the power that we have. But you can affect change because all politics are local. So here we go. Let's get the preliminary stuff out of the way. If you want to join the conversation, call 563-999-3627. Again, the number is 563-999-3627. On Twitter, I'm at Kara Live. For this conversation, use the hashtag Kara Live. Follow on Facebook and Instagram at Kara Live. So tonight, my guest is Mike McQuerry. He's the communication director for Stacey, who's a representative of the Virgin Islands. His Twitter and IG handle is DCNupe90. Again, that is DCNUPE90. And so, where do we start? I guess we should start with Michigan. And an hour outside of, hi, Mike.
How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. So, an hour outside of your hometown of Detroit is Flint, Michigan. And
yes,
Flint
ma'am.
Flint has been suffering from a water crisis with high lead levels since 2014.
Actually, Flint's been suffering for years before that when the auto industry left. But that's another story.
Oh, wow. So the water crisis is just another addition to what was already happening.
Exactly.
So tell us about Flint then and what the current status is.
Flint is the water. People have to still boil their water. This is almost 2 years later, if you can believe that. You still have people volunteering and donating water to the city. From what I understand, they're still going through some court issues with the people that did it with the state and things like that. But the bottom line is that the water problem is not fixed. You still have residents there that have to boil their water, they can't drink their water, and they've been going through this for years. And it's sad that a city in this country is going through that right now. And Flint is a town, workers, a blue collar town. It used to be a lot of people who would work in the auto industry in Detroit would go back home and live because the rent and the housing was cheaper in Flint. And so that's how it kind of became, what it is now. And it's also famous for a few basketball players from the high school that went on to play professional, things like that. But it's a blue-collar town that doesn't deserve this.
Yeah, so you're saying 2 years. Actually, I thought it was longer than that.
It might. Remember, it was going on before they even caught it.
Okay. So also, I guess my understanding is that the residents are being provided bottled water to drink, to cook, to bathe, as well as to boil it.
Yes.
Which is crazy. I mean,
probably the only place in America.
I guess you probably should explain, or if you have all the information on how this happened in the first place, as far as the governor and what happened with the water contamination, how it occurred.
Right, and it's very funny that you say all elections have consequences. We had a Republican governor at the time. A little backstory is that it's just the pipes that handled the water and where the water was coming from was contaminated. And the state of Michigan, who was to regulate, the water and make sure, the environment was safe for that city, let the city down. And so you have a lot of people who are working for the Republican governor's administration now are being indicted for various crimes. But they knew this was happening. They just pushed it up under the rug. I don't want to say it was because it's a majority minority city, but they just figured that it was not important to take care of. Now I guarantee you, if it was places like Grosse Pointe, Michigan, or Taylor, Troy, or something like that, your more affluent areas outside of Detroit, going in the same distance, it wouldn't happen that way. But when it all came down, they got caught. It became a national issue for a couple of months, and as you can see, it's kind of died down. We don't really hear about it anymore. But the people of Flint are being taken care of, from what I understand now. All the pipes are going to be changed. It's not going to take. You can't do it overnight, but it's going to take a while before you can do that.
Yeah, you're right. It was national just for a hot minute. Matter of fact,
Right.
the current president, when he was on the campaign trail, stopped in the area, and
briefly.
I'm still waiting briefly, and I'm still waiting. I haven't heard him say anything about it since
Right.
he went there.
Nothing.
So
in the EPA, his administration hasn't said anything about it.
Right, which is so unfortunate. So I guess
right.
we as regular citizens have to stay on top of the game and ensure that
right.
Someone is looking out for those people.
Right.
So probably just a nice segue to another conversation, which is very similar. You being the communication director for Congresswoman Plaskett, that represents the Virgin Islands, and the Virgin Islands was hit by Hurricane Irma and Maria. I think it was
the only place in the world that got hit by 2 Category 5 hurricanes. The only place.
Right. And again, what are we hearing about that, and what is the recovery progress at this time?
Right. Well, the recovery, the Virgin Islands is an island of 100,000 people. People don't forget that it's a part of America. You don't need a passport to go there. It's the easternmost part of the United States, as a part of the United States, and they call it paradise. And what had happened is that the Virgin Islands has been through the last 20 years, maybe 3 or 4 major hurricanes. And what they would do is they would rebuild the same way instead of rebuilding it better, and ways that it wouldn't have to, it could be resist hurricanes like it did. So right now they have about $8.9 billion that the government has allocated to them to rebuild, to put their electricity lines underground, to make their roofs and their buildings more resilient to hurricanes. And it's a lot of blue roofs in the Virgin Islands, and that's because when you have a hurricane, FEMA comes in and temporarily puts a blue tarp over your roof, so the elements can stay out. I just came back from the Virgin Islands 4 days ago. I spent a week there. If you fly in, you can still see a lot of blue roofs in the territory. But they're very resilient people. Only thing is that every time you hear of a hurricane or a tropical disturbance probably coming, they get a little nervous, just like they had a little tropical wave the other day. But, people forget that that's America. That's a part of America, the Virgin Islands. And the Virgin Islands was acquired from the Danish because it was a strategic military point. That's why it was acquired. It's been under 7 different flags before it became an American territory. I worked for a great Congresswoman, Stacey, Plaskett, who made sure that she was down there as much as she could after the hurricanes, but then she was back in D.C. allocating and advocating for the Virgin Islands as much as she could. And they weren't supposed to get as much money as they did, but she worked so hard to make sure they got extra money to make sure this doesn't happen again. And $8.9 billion, or what they're getting, is not nearly enough what it takes to make everybody's lives whole down there. But it's a great start.
Yeah, coincidentally, I heard her speak today. I was at the NAN conference this morning.
You were there?
Yeah, so I heard her speak, and she was talking about I guess the being strapped for funding, and how they were having a hard time getting funding in order to recover. So I was just wondering, 2 things. I heard you just say something about the power. Did they have the same issues that Puerto Rico had as far as not having power for an extensive time? And do they I assume they have power now?
Yeah, they have power now, but they were without power for, I would say, roughly 2 months. When you want to say the whole island came back online, it was not till Christmas. that the power was restored to the whole island. I was just down there last weekend. We temporarily, their power goes out every now and then. It's still not 24/7. Every now and then power goes out. But it took them. They weren't out for as long as Puerto Rico was. Puerto Rico, as we know, was out for almost a year. Some parts of it. But the Virgin Islands did not come on totally. The entire St. John, St. Croix, and St. Thomas did not come on until about Christmas time.
That's scary and unfortunate. So I guess if someone wanted to help or do something, what would they be able to do, or how could they help?
Okay, they can call our office here in D.C. at 202-225-1790. And it's also something called the St. Croix Foundation. But I would really it's easier if they call our office, Stacey Plaskett's office, at that number, 202-225-1790, because then we can direct you to the charities and everyone that's helping with the relief efforts still down there in the Virgin Islands. It'll be easier that way.
So I guess this is a good place for me to plug the call-in number to us again. If you want to join the conversation, we're at 563-999-3627. Again, the number here is 563-999-3627. So, wow. So we've talked about Flint and the Virgin Islands, and I guess the next subject that's probably the big thing is the new Congress, and I have one word to describe it: diversity.
Very much
so. On many historic levels, there's diversity. So what's one of the things I should address and let you talk about too. So there'll be 6 new members added to the Congressional Black Caucus.
9 actually.
Oh, 9 new members?
Yes,
Okay.
9.
I'm off by 3 then.
No problem.
Then, thank you for the correction. And there's my understanding there'll be 5 members of the CBC that will be head of committees. Is that number right?
Yes, that's correct.
I think the notable one, they're all notable, of course, but I think
Maxine Waters.
Yes. Of the Finance Committee, and I'm laughing because I think that's it's karma. I guess that's the word I find for that. It's karma. After almost a year being called low IQ, and now you're the head of the Finance Committee. So one of the things I'm wondering, this is just a prediction on my part, but I think Mnuchin is probably going to resign before or after his first hearing. I'm just throwing that out there.
Why do you think he's going to resign?
I just think he's going to leave. I just remember his body language during the very first one, and I thought that he looked to the chairman to get him out of a lot of stuff. And now that Maxine Waters is heading the committee, it's just going to be that much harder for him to wiggle out of any responses that he tried to do before, and his non-response to documents she requested or notifications that she had sent him. So I'm just thinking, I don't know if he's ready.
It's definitely going to be different. I don't know about him quitting because the man doesn't need the job. He's rich, filthy rich.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I mean, I can't see him. I mean, he's doing it for fun. He's really doing this job for fun. But now that Maxine Waters Councilwoman Waters will be coming in as the new chairman, she has the power to make the schedule hearings, make requests that they come up and testify before her committee, because she's the chairman now. The Republicans at that time were not holding the Trump administration accountable, because that's part of the plan. That's how Republicans look out for each other and things like that. But the Democrats, I think, are going to come in. They're not going to come in roughshod and be, law and order and the people's court and trying to, do this to grandstand. But they're going to expose a lot of things that we haven't been seeing. And Ms. Congresswoman Waters is going to she's going to be, the chairman of the Financial Services Committee, and that's a big thing.
Okay, he may be rich. I do agree with that, which gives me, even more credence of why he would quit, because he's like, I don't have to take this. I do not have to take this. I don't have to sit here and go through this. So I don't know. We'll see. Go ahead.
But I think he enjoys what he's doing. And then also this is, he's over Treasury. I'm sure this is somehow his pockets are being lined. He's looking out for his best interests behind the scenes too. So it's a win-win for him. But, Donald Trump, he couldn't do that position. But I guess he puts people in that position who he owes favors to and who he thinks can do the job and go look out for his interests too. They all came from New York, Wall Street. So
that's true. That's true.
But my point is, a lot of people, we talk about a lot of people resigning and leaving the Trump administration. That's fine, but then he doesn't replace them with anybody any better. We talk about impeaching Donald Trump, but you got to remember, if we do that, we're getting Mike Pence, which is not going to be any better.
Speaking of that, that's a nice segue to the Congress's agenda. So, I don't think they're going to try to impeach him. But what I think is going to happen is there's going to be a whole laundry list of investigations that they're going to pounce on when Congress starts. You have any thoughts on that?
No, I think that's definitely going to happen. The Judiciary Committee, Congressman Gerald Nadler from New York, is already ready to drop some subpoenas and start investigating. And the congresswoman I work for, Stacey Plaskett, sits over government reform and oversight, and so they'll be doing a lot of investigating too. But I just hope that they don't make this next Congress an investigating Congress or something like that. I hope we can pass some legislation that will help the American people and the world. But we have to realize that we have a Republican Senate and a Republican president, so some of the stuff we got is not going to go nowhere. So we have to be crafty on what we do and be smart on our messaging, too, for when 2020 comes.
Yeah, I agree with you. I stopped by Nancy Pelosi's office today. One of the things they were talking about is cleaning up the health care. And number two, they're hoping to restore Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act.
The voting rights, right.
Right. So, I totally agree with you, and those are the things that they should be focused on as far as moving forward versus all the investigations. I agree with you. I think there's going to be a lot of investigations and a lot of probes. Where they go, I don't know. I don't know if they're being done just to expose or to execute something.
Well, you have to realize Washington, D.C. is what I call the East Coast Hollywood, because everything is sort of scripted out here, too. The actors just don't get paid as much as those in Hollywood do. But what we're going to do is these investigations are going to open up some of the misdeeds that the Trump administration is doing, and its only thing is to set us up for 2020 so we can figure out the next, whatever, if we want to get a Democratic president, why we need one in, and expose them on why they need to get out.
One of the things I do hope that they do is do something to support the Mueller investigation. Or put something in place where. You
mean to protect him?
Yes. I don't know how or what.
I totally agree with you, but they could have did that when he first got appointed. They could have.
I agree.
That could have been done then, and now he's at the tail end of his. I think it's almost over, if you ask me. And the point is that will this report go anywhere? Donald Trump, if anything, is a very lucky man on the way he got into. He's in office and he's firing the right people and doing things that has never been done according to the Constitution. It's just I don't understand it, but it is what it is. But I hope it's over soon. And I don't know, what this report is going to say. It can go all over the place. But then once we do this report, where do we go from there?
Because once the report is released, well, there's two things. So what's the guy? I forgot the guy's name. That was Whitaker. Is it Whitaker?
Oh yeah, Whitaker.
Okay, so my thing is, what is Whitaker's role going to be? I mean, are they going to be able to release the report to the Republic, or is he there to block it? Or
according to where it's set up now, as him as the acting attorney general, he is the boss of Mueller. The report goes to him, and he can decide what he wants to do with it. Then he can take it home if he wants to, but he's it'd been good if he sent it to Congress so he can see it. But he doesn't have to do anything with it. He does it. So, I mean, this is a catch-22. It's an interesting situation that we're in. But, I mean, it's the way our government is set up. But according to, when the attorney general resigns or leaves, his assistant is supposed to go to his spot, to be the next person in line. But, with this administration and this government, what we got going on now, they're not doing that.
So
it's interesting. Been another administration. Yeah.
So since you brought that up, which is an interesting point. So my understanding, they're trying to do something about that, or have to say that he didn't get the post or didn't get the appointment legally. I didn't read. There was an article or something. I didn't get a chance to read it. But
the Justice Department, the very department where he works for, made a ruling today that his appointment was legal. Now, this is the Justice Department where he works at, who he's over, is telling him that his appointment is legal. Okay, so it just, they didn't go to no outside court or anybody else. It's his, his own people saying, it's okay for you to do it.
So basically, he policing himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how does that work?
This is like I say, it's the East Coast Hollywood. This has been probably planned for the longest. The man came on as chief of staff after he was just a consultant, a Republican consultant, even on CNN, but he was working for a nonprofit, if I'm not mistaken. So they already knew his views. And the president a couple of days got on and said he didn't know this man. But they got him on tape saying he knows this man. And we still let him get away with it, So, I mean,
Which is, I don't understand in the first place, and that's just one example of the president saying one thing, and there's audio of him saying something just totally the opposite, and we continue to let him get away with that. Right.
I mean, I remember I watched the movie Menace to Society, and if anything that movie taught me is don't do anything on videotape. Now we have everything on videotape, and nobody's believing it.
It's not that they don't believe it. It's just that they're not doing anything about it. I mean, people playing the videos, but it doesn't matter. His supporters don't believe it. They don't care. They don't care. They don't believe it. They don't care. Yeah. We know the difference, but it's his supporters that come to these rallies and all these things that don't. He could say the sky is green. They're going to believe it. So, I mean, in a way, that's kind of scary, but, I mean, in a way, it's politics. The man came at the right time and captured a part of a segment of the segment of our community, the segment of our people in this country that didn't, weren't paying attention to what was going on, and they just saw this man that they see on TV all the time, and all of a sudden they're going to believe him, Yeah, it's that, and that you have to continue to fact check something.
Right.
You don't even really have to fact. I mean, it's so. Right. I mean, with the internet, I mean, it doesn't take but 2 minutes. But a lot of people don't even take the time to fact check whatever it is.
Right. And for this to be 2018, it feels like we're living in 1950, 1960 on some of these, just the racial things that are going on. And it's all. I was telling my father the other day when he was taking me to the airport. It's like, it's people that used to wear those white robes that were the Klan. They wore them robes to disguise themselves. But in this day and age, they don't need those robes. They don't. They walk right out here into the society plain as day and let you know who they are.
Yeah, there's definitely been an emboldened society since he's come in office.
Right.
So
right. Did you see the case of the lady in Maryland who called the man the N-word, and she's a librarian for PG County Schools?
No, I didn't see that story.
Yeah, it's in Maryland. It's a story, so it's going viral. It's on Facebook and stuff. But she, and the wife, the sister got out of the car and said, "Did you call my husband the N-word in front of my kids?" And she said, "I sure did." and she mentioned, and she's a public school. She's a teacher for the PG County. I mean, a librarian for one of the schools in PG County. And then on that, she was wearing a Redskins jacket. And not that I'm not getting on for being a Redskins fan, but you're going to use the N word, and then you're wearing the Redskins thing, whose symbol is a derogatory term.
Right.
And then you act like you were here first too.
So Mike,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was like, last I checked, the Native Americans were here first. They weren't the European people didn't come here first, but that's a whole nother story.
Yes, they were here first. So
right.
we have a caller. So
there we go.
Let me pull the caller in. Hello, caller. Could you state your first name and where you're calling from? Hello.
Oh, I'm Sherelle Simmons. I'm calling from Kansas. I'm just kind of listening in and to your broadcast.
Okay, no problem.
Is it Kansas City, Kansas, or Kansas City, Missouri?
Kansas City, Kansas.
There we go. That's good barbecue there.
But I did have a question because I was listening to your comment about the boldness of people as far as expressing their racist views. So, and I do have evangelical Christian friends that I go to church with, and like you said, they believe everything that he said, but they do believe he was appointed by God in some weird way. That's their backdrop. So my question is, what is it going to take for? Because he's done everything imaginable, and they still somehow or another support him, and I don't understand why. But what is it going to take for evangelicals to really stop and look at what he's doing and what he's saying, because they really do believe that he was sent there by God. They believe God put him there for such a time as this to do what? I don't know. But so what do you think it's going to take? Is it going to take him, like you said, he could walk out in the street and shoot somebody, and people would have still elected him, so he could probably do that now and they'd still support him. But so what do you think it's going to take?
Mike, I'll let you take that one.
For his people to get you. Well, first of all, you think they're evangelicals? I just think I don't even think most of these people are that religious that are his followers. The man himself doesn't even go to church.
On the Kansas side, side, and my church is multi. We have about 1,000 members, and it's multiracial. And I can assure you that almost every a white person in my church, and the majority of the church is white, they all support him. I'm certain of it. And so, because they believe, even though the man doesn't go to church, because he's brought back some religious freedom. Well, he's bringing back religious freedom. Prayer in school. He's changing the transgender laws that they had in place. He's doing all these things that they think are religious rights.
But weren't they already? Weren't they evangelical? Isn't that what they always believed anyway?
Correct. Yes.
And you continue to go to church with them, though, right? And knowing that they believe it.
I do. Well, here's my philosophy on that. My philosophy on that is they would love for you to leave them alone in their ignorance. So, they love it. But when you are that person, because I am a Christian, and I know what the word says. So what you have to do is they would love to just sit back in their ignorance and continue to believe what they do until you become that thorn in their side. To say that, okay, these are the fruits of the Spirit. Because you have to come with them where they live. And and I'm there. And I'm like, these are the fruits of the Spirit. If this person, and you judge a tree by the fruit it produces. If it's not producing good fruit, then it's not a righteous tree. So I come to them on that level. And what I have done in doing that, I'm probably going to ostracize about half the people. But there are some people who have since started to read. Because when you come with them with the word, and they're supposed to be Christians that believe the word, you can't argue with the word. You can argue with me about what I think, but you cannot argue with the word. So, I go there, and they would love if I would just up and grab my stuff and grab my toys and leave. But why would I do that? Why would I not stay and be that lone voice? That's saying this is wrong, and I don't know why you guys call yourself Christians.
I hope you're not the lone voice. It's whoever the pastor or whoever. Do they speak about this in church?
They do. Well, our pastor did do it got so bad that he did a whole series on race, and he did let people know that racism is alive and well. I don't know what you may be thinking, but it's alive and well. A black man, he broke it down so eloquently the way he did it. He talked about various communities within Kansas that if you go in there as a black man with a hoodie, you're going to get arrested for real. And he said, so it's real that even though you may think that I don't see any racism, it's not, I don't see it. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean that other people are not experiencing it. So he did a great job. Some people probably left, but he did a great job of letting people know it's not gone. Racism is still here. People are not just making this up. They're not just still playing the race card because that's what some people believe. So he did a great job. Oh, and we also have a group that I'm a part of that's called Be the Bridge. And we took a group of diverse men, women, white, black, Asian, all diversities in our church. And we have this group, and we're talking about some hard topics. And I've been to 2 sessions, and I'm telling you, one lady, I mean, she's, we had one, just an example, there's one white lady that's in our group that said she has never experienced anything like we were, like some of the black and people of color that were there were telling her they experienced recently. And she just kind of broke down because this is where she was coming from. She never, ever experienced any form of racism at all, ever. So,
well, that's good, but she's white, though. I don't think white people, I don't know if they understand, they never racism.
But the reason why it touched her is because I think the scales just kind of fell off of her eyes. After going to that group, the scales, because she was like, well, wow, you experienced that? And, she was just like, I just didn't know. And, that would be a lot of
I agree with you on that side, but sometimes you have people like that who are feeling very guilty because of what their family they have done prior to them, or what kind of family they know what their family, what kind of lineage they come from. And sometimes they run these churches, they feeling guilty, so they think that if they pretend like they can understand our pain, that's will absolve them of everything that their previous family did before them. And I'm not buying that. I'm not gonna buy that. But I mean, I hope that these people can be educated a little bit. But I think some stuff goes in one ear and out the other. It just does.
I think that's correct for some. But if you're really trying to, I'm going to give some of them the benefit of the doubt. Not all of them. I think some of them, it's ingrained in them, and they're never going to change. But I do believe there are some people, there's some people in the group who truly are trying to do different, think differently. At least understand, at least open your mind to understand what people of color are going through. Don't just shut it off as them complaining. Try to understand, try to walk a mile in someone else's shoes. And I think that's what people just don't do. They don't get it. They don't understand that you haven't walked my path, so you don't know.
Right. So let me ask you a question. So those people that are in your church that feel that way, that kind of have a little apprehension about you, do you talk to them? See, I would talk to them. I would say good morning, hello, and I would sit next to them in church every Sunday too,
to let them know. Here's what I do. I how you work. I was trying to avoid them because I was so upset with them. But then I was avoiding them. That's real. But you're
in church. You shouldn't be upset or avoiding people. You're in church.
There you go. So I got arrested. The Holy Spirit was like, "What are you doing and why are you here?" So, though I was trying to escape and hide from these people, the Lord just quickened me and said, "What are you doing here? What are you doing?" So they want you to hide from them. They want you not to speak. But what I want you to do is to say, "No, we disagree. I don't understand your point of view. I don't agree with it. I can still speak to you and be civil." So I've said, change that, and you know what? The relationship has started to change. You see what I'm saying? It started to change because they understand that I'm just not because the way they were viewing me was a hater of Trump. And I said, why are you viewing me like that? I disagree with some of the things he said, gun policy, but that doesn't mean I hate anybody. I disagree with him, and you should disagree with some of the things he's saying and doing also if it doesn't line up with the word. That doesn't mean that you didn't vote for him, that you can't support it, but I don't support anyone carte blanche. I'm just not going to, just because I voted for you, I'm not going to go along with everything that you do if it doesn't line up with what my beliefs for one. But so they're starting to understand where I'm coming from, that I'm not coming from a place of hate for Trump.
Were you going to that church when Obama was president?
I was.
Oh, okay. So how was it then?
It was great. It was great. It was great. It was so peaceful. It was great. It's just now that Trump's got in office that it's changed.
Because they feel emboldened now. They feel emboldened that they got one of theirs in the office now. When Obama was there, the first year or so, they were happy for it because it was historical. It was. But then he got 2 terms and he stayed in it, and that was a little bit too long for some of these people. It was. It really was. So they at that time, I'm pretty sure church, they can't go up in there and act crazy because we got a black president and we're in church. They can't act up. But when Donald Trump comes up in there, they feel emboldened now. They are there early on the first queue, and you are not getting under the seat because they want you to see them. They do. So, I mean, you're a good one. I would be up in church every Sunday talking to those and sitting right next to them.
Well, you know, I have no problem. Like I said, I don't have no problem with speaking to them. And just so happens, they kind of stopped inviting me to certain things, which I didn't care. Then all of a sudden, they started back inviting me.
Yeah, you should go.
Think that was?
You should go and bring 20 people with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why did they stop inviting you?
Right.
You know, I think they felt uncomfortable around me.
Were you the only black person there?
There's a lot of black people there. You know, I think they just felt uncomfortable because they're an older group of ladies. They're an older group of ladies, and the older group, you know, they're in their 60s on up. I was in part of that prayer group. And the older generation is having a real hard time because they're into that patriotism at all costs. You see what I'm saying?
So this is a prayer group. This is a prayer group.
There's a prayer group.
So every time you pray, you should start your prayer by naming them by name and say, Lord, I want to pray for such and such while we here and go on about our business. Because it's a prayer group. They shouldn't be back. They should be, you know, they shouldn't be up in there with all that kind of attitude for that. I would definitely, I would pray for them every day. I would. And let them know that.
You know, you know, and I do. Not every day, but I do, because we break off and pray for each other. So I do pray for them. I pray for when. Don't let me get the mic.
Do you pray for Donald Trump? Do you pray for Donald Trump?
I pray for him. I pray that the Lord will cure his illness, whatever's wrong with him. You have to pray for him because he's crazy.
I got you.
And
I'm just checking.
You have to pray. You can say because you know you have to pray that the Holy Spirit, because if he can use an ass, he can definitely use him some kind of way, at least to change his mind, or, you know, I do believe you should pray for him because there is something wrong with him. And the only way, words won't get to him because he don't listen to anyone. But prayer can do things to people that words can't. So I do pray for him. I pray for the nation. I prayed for the election. I prayed for, constantly, so that God would show up and show out at the election, that he would even things out. And I honestly believe that that's exactly what he did. He kind of, you know, brought us back to the table, you know, Democrats back to the table to kind of balance this thing out. And because the Republicans are so afraid of him that he was doing whatever he wants unchecked. You know, nobody was able to check him, and you have to have somebody that's able to oppose him, you know, check him when he's getting out of line. And so I was praying for that as well. And when things happened the way they did, I was really, really grateful that now we have a seat back at the table and he can't just run crazy and do and say whatever he wants. So, yeah.
So what are your thoughts on his comments regarding the journalists last week?
I'm not commenting on that because I was, I understand where Donald Trump is coming from. He doesn't understand that journalists are not really your friends. They're there to be that, you know, that sounding board. They're there to ask you the hard questions. That's their job. They did it before he came, and they're going to do it when he leaves.
But he doesn't treat them. He doesn't treat them all the same. He doesn't. He doesn't.
No, all journalists are not created equal.
Right.
He does not. He only wants you to ask him a question that he wants to answer, and that he feel comfortable answering. He doesn't want anyone to ask him, and he has no respect for women. Black women is probably at the bottom of the poll. He challenge. And when these reporters, especially reporters of color, or they ask him a question, he feels as if they're attacking him personally. He doesn't understand his role as the president, that this is your job. This is a part of your job. You have to interact with the media. And really, everyone should be upset about that. I mean, because he shouldn't treat them like that. And he doesn't even understand that what he's doing is violating their constitutional rights. So he doesn't understand. So, no, I don't think anything.
Or he doesn't care.
He doesn't care. That's real.
I think one of the reasons he had a problem with the black women journalists, specifically women, is because I think, one, he realizes that black women are the ones who are going out in full force to ensure that they're voting and getting the vote, doing the get out the vote efforts for everybody else, trying to ensure that everybody else gets to the poll. So that's a problem for him. So I think he takes it out on the journalists because they're also black women. I think the second thing is he realizes, we were just talking about Maxine Waters, but that's a black woman that he really doesn't like. He despises with just the ground she walks on and the fact that she's going to be head of that committee. That's another black woman. Right. So I think it just all came in full circle last week, after the election. It was like, here's another black woman in my face asking me a question.
Right.
And then there's also a third reason. He does that to incite his base, his people that support him. He does that. That's his way of, without calling them a name or being blatantly racist, is to let you know I'm keeping these people in check. This is how I'm doing it. Right. Anytime one of these reporters get up here and says something, especially the black ones, this is how I'm going to treat you. Because when he did Abby Phillips like that, when I was watching it live, you didn't know who he was talking to like that. You didn't know the reporter that he said that was such a stupid question. And then when I found out it was a sister, it all kind of made sense because his whole demeanor changed. He started pointing. He came close to her. Just things that you wouldn't do to other reporters or anything like that. So that's just another way to incite those people down. His West Virginia, his Kentucky's, them people. In the country clubs, to let them know that, hey, you sent me here to do this, and this is how I'm doing it.
Well, I think he has a perception of black women, and he's basing it off of Maxine, that they're confrontational, that they're in your face, and they're not going to back down like the white women you're used to dealing with. And I think he doesn't like, he is judging us all, that we're all like that. No, we're just, we're doing our jobs. I mean, we're just not weak. We're not going to cower down to you. And he doesn't know what to do with that. I don't think he doesn't know what to do with that. And when he saw the reporter, trying to raise her hand, it was as if she was trying to get him to do something that he didn't want to do, not understanding that she works for a news company and she's trying to ask you a question. That's what she was sent there for.
This is true. But then we also have to realize that Donald Trump never thought he really was going to be president, and neither did us in America. He didn't think in a million years he would have never said that I'm going to be president. He might have tried to win, but when he got in and came down the escalator, I didn't think he was going to win myself. Look at where we're at right now. So this man he never practiced for this job. He never took any, thought about, once I get in this office, this is what I'm going to do and change. Next thing you know, he's elected president. He got all this power at his fingertips. So I mean, I should have ran. Donald Trump won. Jesus Christ.
Well, if you had his president, hey, you would have won.
But you're right. I don't think he thought he was going to win either. I think it was all a publicity and a business stunt. Something that just to attract attention.
Exactly. It was. And just so lucky it was he was in the right place at the right time, going against 17 other people and he was just charismatic. And people at that time were looking for something different. President Obama was great, but we were looking for something different. Even if it was going to be Hillary Clinton, it was still going to be, everybody kept saying it's going to be a new president, but that she's going to continue his policies. That was just saying that's the same old person. And after a while, people just wanted something a little bit different. And then let's not talk about the people that went and voted and just said, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump just because he's not going to win. And he won. Some people just did that. When you go behind them curtains, people don't know you can say you did this, but you really they don't know what you did behind there. So, I don't these exit polls and people that I don't believe. Once I come out, I might tell you I voted for somebody differently just to throw you off.
Well, he won.
Yeah, he won. And I should have sworn he would have been gone within 4 or 5 months, and it's 2 years. It's going on 2 years. So my point is this. I don't think we don't even need to be trying to get rid of him or impeach him. We need to keep him in and work on getting him out in 2020. That's what we need to work on now. He's halfway through now. It's like him going to high school and you go kick him out after his sophomore year just because. Go on, let's let him finish. And let's get both him and Pence out in 2020. Because why we going to, efforts to do all this other stuff, he's still going to be off. And the man told you, I have the Senate, I'll do whatever I'll do to stop you all. Plus, you got to remember, he has the FBI and the CIA up under him. He can find out anything he wants to on anybody in this world, in this country. Don't mess with him.
Yeah, right. I agree. I agree with you. I've been thinking the whole time, if he's gone, just like you said earlier, we got Pence, and to be Pence is, at least to be Pence is worse because at least you can predict what the current president's going to say or do. He's pretty. And
when something happens, what do you hear from Mike Pence? You hear nothing. The man says nothing, and he don't comment. He don't comment on anything, or he just sitting there like, oh my goodness gracious, I can't believe. First of all, we won when he picked me, and second of all, I'm this close to being the president.
Yeah, because he wouldn't have won re-election in Indiana.
Right, exactly, and he's from Indiana.
But now,
now
he's vice president.
Where the Klan was founded at? The Klan was founded in Indiana, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot of them up there. So you going from bad to worse.
Well, maybe he's just biding his time, not saying anything, not alienating anybody. So who knows? He may try to throw his hat in the ring in 2020 because he's just saying that. Who knows what his plans are? Because he's not trying to ostracize nobody. He's not trying to comment on nothing. He's probably just trying to make Trump look as worse as he can so he can't get reelected. So he may just throw his hat in the ring. That wouldn't surprise me one bit.
He hasn't said a whole lot, but for some reason I think that he's going to be he's going to come up in this investigation. There's something because he hasn't been interviewed. It's been silent on his end, so to speak. I think that there's something more there that's there. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, I think there's a there, and it just may come up when the report is released, if it's ever released.
Yeah, if it's ever released
to the public, that is.
Well, it may be now. Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, that is a good strategy. Don't say anything so they don't look at me.
Yeah. Don't say anything. You kind of learned that when you was growing up and you did something wrong. Just keep your mouth shut. Don't even say nothing until if it's just you and no another person doing it. You can't say nothing if they don't say nothing. But you just be quiet.
But one of the things he tries to do
I'm pretty sure Donald Trump does not tell him everything anyway.
Oh, no.
Donald Trump doesn't share everything with everybody, so he don't know what's going on with half the stuff.
He should know, but hey,
he doesn't.
Tell you how you gonna find out?
He
don't know.
And
Donald Trump hasn't been to visit the troops yet. He's been down to the border to stop Mexican illegals coming in, but he hasn't been nowhere to see our troops yet. Nowhere.
And he couldn't even go to a grave site in France. Come on. So why?
That was an embarrassment. That was an embarrassment.
He's not gonna see the live ones.
That was an embarrassment. Right. That was an embarrassment. That I mean, to be it was embarrassing.
I was hot. All of my soldier friends was hot. Now, I don't know what the supporters. I don't know how they're not upset, but we was hot because when the Queen Elizabeth out there in the rain. She out there in the rain for her World War II ceremony. We were all just like, are you for real? You can get you an umbrella. I mean, if you that anal about the rain, go ahead and get you an umbrella, President.
And Donald Trump, he affects you in a lot of ways. You can't sometimes go on vacation overseas now because people look at you different now. That's because you're from America. When Obama was president, we could go anywhere in the world, and they would say Obama. They was happy for it. They knew. It was a good thing for what he was doing for the world. With Trump, you cannot go nowhere without them, and they look at you like you're crazy.
No, here's what happened. I went to Europe this summer, and I was walking on a trail in Germany with my brother, and I happened to we ran across some Germans, and they was like, "Oh, where you from?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm from the States." And blah blah blah. He said, "Oh yeah, that Trump." They started talking trash.
Right. Sometimes they say they feel sorry for you. They say they feel sorry. I feel sorry for you.
You know what I said? I said, he's not my president. I was like, I didn't vote for him. And the guy was like, he's the worst. He was talking trash about Trump in Europe. So I really didn't mention his name when I was over there.
No,
the guy was like really upset.
Right.
So
you're not running over there wearing no Trump shirt, no Trump T-shirt like we was wearing Obama all over the world. You're not doing that. You ain't doing that. You think about it. I mean, you got to think about it. We don't wear none of that stuff. I'll be getting my passport going through customs real quick. I go through real quick.
And I wasn't shouting that I was an American. I mean, they kind of figured it out. They kind of figured it out when we started talking. But for the most part, there's a lot of Africans in Europe. So for the most part, if I didn't say anything, they didn't know if I was an African that was over there. They have a lot of refugees and asylum folks. They didn't know whether I was a refugee until I started talking and figured it out. But my daughter and I, we just didn't wear a lot of American clothes, like, American symbols and stuff like that. We just wore just regular clothes because we didn't know the climate. We didn't know how people were feeling, so we just kind of blended in.
Gotta do that.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, good discussion.
Oh, thank you for calling.
Thank you for calling. Don't forget to go tell them people at your church that you're praying for them every day, regardless if Sister So-and-so want to have a little attitude.
You know I'm going to do it.
That was clear. You should. And if you can, why don't you put it on Facebook Live or something so we can see it? When you put your phone up and start recording them, they get really, really nervous, and then they really, really want to get in their feelings, but they'd be okay.
Anyway, I'm going to get off the line.
We can put you on hold so you can listen to the rest of the show if you want.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay. Okay, that was a great discussion.
You
still here, Mike?
I'm still here.
Okay, just want to make sure I didn't put the wrong line on hold.
No.
We're gosh, we kind of covered a lot in that.
Wait, can we go 2 hours? Who we gotta pay? I'm about to get you some sponsors.
Yeah, I need some sponsors. Do that. I guess I should put the number out there again. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to call us at 563-999-3627. Again, we're at 563-999-3627. And so the other interesting thing we should talk about. So prior to during the election season, there was a lot of talk regarding new blood in leadership. But it appears that there's no one vying for the leadership position except for Nancy Pelosi. You have any thoughts?
Well, Nancy Pelosi is very smart. She's very smart. She's a powerful woman. She's been doing this for years. And I'm going to be honest with you. When we've been in the majority and when the Democrats were in control the last time, it was Nancy Pelosi who was in control. She knows what she's doing. And she's the one that got health care, the Obamacare, to get through the House and through the legislature. But I think she's smart in knowing that her time is up. But I would like to see her get the gavel back, to be a transition speaker for the next one to come in. But this is she's not going to do. I can guarantee you that this will be her. She's only doing this for 2 years, if she doesn't leave before that. But she does need to have the gavel back for the hard work that she's done in raising money for candidates for the Democratic Party and being a tactician. She knows that place back, backwards and forwards. And for somebody that works up on the Hill, I know how that place works. You see a lot of stuff. A lot of people outside of the Beltway see Congress differently, but behind the scenes, it's cutthroat. And Nancy Pelosi is the best person, Democrat right now, for this job, but she does need to groom somebody soon that's younger for the position and other positions. They do, because the leadership is looking like the AARP club right now.
I'm sorry. That was funny. Yeah, but you're right. The leadership is getting older and older, or I should say, more experienced versus older.
No, you had it right, older. You got it right, older. Just call it what it is. You got to call it what it is. And as you can see with this last election, a lot of young people are being elected. You have your youngest woman at 29. You have two of them, one at 28, one at 29, that are being elected. You have more black women coming in now. A teacher, one was a former National Teacher of the Year. One, Lucy Macbeth, her son was killed in Florida, was shot by the white man for playing his music too loud. So, not only is the look, the makeup of Congress changing, it's just the way it's going to think as the Congress is going to change too. Because some of these people have some real life stories.
Yeah, there's 2 Native Americans. There's more. The LGBT community is represented.
Right.
The Muslim community is represented. It's shaping up and beginning to look more like America.
Right, it does. It's sad that the Native Americans were the first people here, and they about the last ones to get elected into Congress. You see how this country works, And then they didn't want them on some reservations in North Dakota. They were trying not to let them vote. If you had a P.O. box, you couldn't vote. And, so it was just so funny to see how old Jim Crow laws were becoming just so evident. You were seeing it live and direct. I thought never in my lifetime, I'm born in 1970, I would ever see, the things that my grandparents and parents had to go through in the 50s and 60s. I never thought I would see that in my lifetime. And it's happening right before us. Just high tech.
Yeah, you and it's so overt. And I said the same thing a couple of weeks ago. I was in Georgia, and I kept asking people. I said, "What year is it? What year is it?" Because I'm confused. What year is it? Because everything is, before, I guess within the last 20 or 30 years, it wasn't as overt, but it's overt now. I mean,
yeah.
It
used to be. I remember my father used to tell me when I went to school in Mississippi, and I'm born in Detroit. But down south in Mississippi, places like that, who don't like you. You know who don't. You go up north, you don't know. That's how it was. In Michigan I would be around white people, but you didn't know. You thought that they were cool with it, but you didn't know that when you went down to Mississippi and Alabama, you knew who didn't like you. So you didn't really have that problem of people stabbing you in the back and they really don't care for you or stuff like that. It was just certain counties you didn't go in Mississippi. So you just looked at somebody that was white down in Mississippi and you at least thought that maybe there was something, you watching them out the corner of your eye. I saw the movie Mississippi Burning in Mississippi. It was very emotional to see Mississippi Burning in Mississippi.
But going back to what you were saying about the Native Americans in North Dakota, so the thing with them, or the reason the way they were trying to ensure that they were unable to vote is to say that they had to have a street address. Well, the reservation doesn't have a street address. They have P.O. boxes. And that really, I was talking to my mother about that because my hometown, for the longest, everybody had a P.O. box. You didn't have a street address. So I'm just like, how, you put these tactics in place and make it seem like it's not racist, but in fact, when if it's only affecting one group, then what else can you say but that it's racist?
Right.
Exactly. It's a racist policy.
Exactly.
So I guess we have to ensure that when the new Congress comes in, to segue back to them, that they are able to fix these issues that have gone awry since the I think Section 5 was scratched off in 2013. So whatever
by Supreme Court.
Right. So to figure out how that we can get that back in place, or to get the laws fixed where people don't have to go through that just to vote. Right.
And I also remember, it's not just federal elections, national elections. It's your local ones too. City council, school board. You got to kind of start there.
Right. Because, like I said at the beginning of the show, all politics is local. So you're right. You're absolutely right. One other thing before we go. So just to add a little comedy to it. So since the election, has anyone heard anything about the caravan?
No, not at all. That was a big CON conspiracy. A big CON conspiracy. Then you're going to try to say the Democrats were down there paying for them to do this and do that and all this stuff, But I can guarantee you that that was just. But you have to realize that was very smart. I did not think Donald Trump could be this smart when it came. He knew he wasn't going to win everything, but he knew what to start just enough to keep him a buffer with the Senate. And the tacticians that came up with that were very smart. They were very smart. Now we just got to outsmart them the next time. We really do, because your average Joe, we knew what that was about. First of all, who's walking 5,000 miles these days? Who's doing that? And then you go walk 5,000 miles and you're not guaranteed to get to the place you want to go. Who does that?
But here's the unfortunate part that is affecting the taxpayers, because did he not send troops to the border?
Well, yes, supposedly, but of course you notice you didn't see too much video of that though. No one really showed.
I know, but my whole thing is hitting us in the pocket. It might have been a stunt, but it's a costly stunt. We were still gonna be paying for them. We were gonna be still paying for them troops if they weren't being deployed down there. We still paying for them every day. I see what you're saying, but I mean, that was just another ploy too. But that's cool because they're going down there and they're not gonna really do anything. I don't think nothing's gonna jump off. But he just said, hey, let me try to, because he can do it. He said, let me just send troops because I can do this, and it's gonna make it seem like. It did to me. Even I didn't like the policy, but it seemed to me like, okay, this man is at least doing what he's going to do to protect America, supposedly, even though the way he's going about it is wrong. But politics. Like I say, this is the East Coast Hollywood. They had a better script on that one than we did, because we couldn't. I always said that we should have been talking about, the Democrats did not send. We didn't go down there and ask these people to come up here and do that. The man is lying. Show me some proof of that. But we never called him out on that. And I don't know if the people are scared to call him out because he might get a foul on him or something. I don't know. You call it East Coast Hollywood, so it's basically a wag the dog.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
You go wag the dog, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So on that, I want to thank you, Mike, for being a guest on Cara Live, and I want to give you a chance to plug Usual Suspects. Tell us about Usual Suspects.
Well, real quickly, even though I do have a day job working, I also have a social aspect to my life too. I have an entertainment company called the Usual Suspects here in D.C., and we throw very live, different events in the area. Tonight we're having a singles event down in D.C. I couldn't go because I was going to be here tonight, but for all the singles in the area to come out and do things like that. And on Friday, we're having a party where we play nothing but Dirty South music. So our parties are sort of thing. Our age range is 23 to 30 something right now, so I don't really be going out all the time. But it's an avenue for people in the city to go out, let their hair down, have a good time, and meet new people. And we also do political stuff during Congressional Black Caucus. We have events and things like that. So if you're around the city, come and check us out at the Usual Suspect. You can catch us on the website. It's like not like the movie. It's Usual Suspects is USUALSUSPETZ, and I named this the Usual Suspects because if you watch the movie, at the end it did not. When it ended, you did not expect it to end like that. So when you go to our parties, you go and you don't expect it to be as live as it is after you go there. So that's how I came up with the name for it.
Cool. Yeah. We have one more caller, so we're going to let them make a comment or a question real quick, and then we'll close out the show. Hello, caller. Could you state your first name and where you're calling from?
Kelly.
Hello.
Oh, my God. That's my sister.
Yeah, this is your sister.
And this is my sister.
Before you left.
This is my sister. Hi. Oh, she wants middle tax cuts for middle class. Go ahead, Kelly.
Yes, you didn't talk about the tax cuts for the middle class, but my one comment before you all go. I just want to say, ever since Trump has been elected, I look at it as a soap opera, and this is like season 4, and the elections was like the finale, to the next show began, and it was like, what's going to happen? So I watch the news all the time. I watch Fox News all the time because I like to hear what Fox is telling the people. But I look at this as like I can't believe I'm living this life with this president, but it is like a reality show. And it's like, what's going to happen next? What's about to happen? Who's the new characters? Who's about to leave? You know, so it's just, I just can't believe that I am living this world, and I try to explain to my kids, but they're not listening. But it's just funny that he is a reality star, and I'm looking at this world as this is just a reality show.
So true.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
And I think you're not the only person who's watching it that way too. There's thousands of people who are watching every episode.
Yes.
Well, we hope in 2020 we can cancel his show.
Correct. It'll be the season and the year-end finale. That's what I'm waiting for.
Right.
Thank you, Kelly, for your comment.
Thank you. Great show. Great show.
Thank you.
Thank you,
much.
Kelly.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, again, thank you, Mike. Greatly appreciate you being on Cara Live.
No problem. Just let me know when I can come back, please.
And I just want to tell everyone, thanks for listening to the show. If you miss some of the broadcasts or you want to hear it again, feel free to check it out on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Play, SoundCloud, or just ask Alexa. Anywhere that you listen to your podcast, I think we're there. So check us out next Wednesday at the same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for listening to the show, and thanks again, Mike.
Bye. Bye-bye, everybody.